What's up, man? I'm Mangala. Welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I'm comparing the clone to the real deal. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, don't play with me. Oud for Glory by Latafa versus For Greatness by Initio Parfum. Oud for Greatness. I have a little vial of this thing right here. So what I'm gonna do right now is put the original on my right hand, and on my left I'm gonna put the clone. I already have it sprayed here from a previous video, obviously, and now I'm just going to basically compare the fragrances side by side and see how close the clone is to the original, and then I'll tell you guys if I think that you should purchase the real deal or the clone. So I'm gonna start off by putting the real deal on my right hand. Alrighty, now I got a decent portion on my hand. Spray this one on my left hand, the fake, should I say the clone actually, on my left. Okay. Opening of both are extremely different, I have to say. The original is almost straight off really oud centered, like it smells like actual oud, like real oud, smoky, woody, with some type of patchouli, some type of cacao. I think it might be some chocolate note or something. I think it's patchouli because it's a bit earthy but also dark chocolate smelling. The combination kind of resembles Thamin's Carved Oud, and I know that one has a lot of oud, but it also has patchouli inside, so it really reminds me of that one. I have to say that the clone is way sweeter, in my opinion, in comparison to the original, because the clone, the saffron is there right away, very prominent, smelling very saffron lavender forward with a bit of oud in the top. Oh shoot, I put too much. Blood clot. I don't know, but to be really honest, original smells very woody, patchouli, oud. There's like virtually almost no saffron inside, especially in the top at least. I feel like it does get a bit sweeter when it starts to dry down, but obviously I just reapplied it all over myself. I'm gonna come back when they fully dry down in like maybe an hour, and then compare the mids and the full dry down. But if I'm completely honest, there is a big difference. There's a similarity, but I cannot say that Oud for Glory is a like for like clone, like exactly trying to copy them, because the scent profile is a bit different. I have to say that Oud for Greatness is smelling more woody, oudy patchouli, reminding me of Thamin's Carved Oud, except less strong patchouli, but it's more like tamed and more well blended, because it's like super smooth with the woods and the oud, and there might be a bit of saffron, but I really can't pick it up in comparison to the clone. The clone is way more saffron orientated, lavender, so it's more sweet, and then there's a bit of oud, but when it dries down it becomes very incensey, and I don't know if Oud for Greatness will change when it dries down, but now it's very patchouli centered. I can barely smell the oud, and a bit of saffron is coming in. But I'll get back to you guys in an hour, and I'm gonna compare the dry downs. Back. So now for the dry down, what I could tell is that the original has more of a medicinal, true oud smell, a bit more woody, and the patchouli is way stronger, and the performance in general is stronger than the clone, while the clone is a bit more sweet, has more saffron, but when you get to the dry down, that's when the patchouli and some smokiness comes out a bit more, and it starts to resemble the original more, but I think that the real closeness comes into the air, as in if you wear the clone, you will not be able to distinguish it from the real one in the air. Like if someone's wearing it, you will think it's the real one. You will not be able to tell the difference. It's very negligible. But when you smell it side by side, like on skin, you will find the difference. So consider that the similarity of the clone to the original is 80%, but when it's in the air, it's pretty much indistinguishable. So 80% similar to the original. The difference, though, in the clone is that the clone is less potent. It's not as strong as the original, first of all. Secondly, the clone has more saffron in general and has more patchouli in the base, but it's not as close to the real one in terms of the quality of the patchouli or even the quality of the oud. The oud is more synthetic and lighter, and you smell more like an incensey smokiness, trying to recreate the pungent medicinal oud smell that you get in the real one, but it doesn't get close to it. Whilst on the real one, you get a more deep, rich, true oud smell, one that's a bit ink smelling, a bit, really woody and like fiery smelling type of oud. And the patchouli is stronger as well. The patchouli is actually very dominant in the original, whilst in the clone it's not as dominant. It's more subtle and comes in at the end to help bring in some earthiness that's missing. But the oud in the real one resembles the ouds that you'll find in Nasa Matos, Black Afghano, the Thamins, Carved Oud, all those other niche fragrances, because it's actual legitimate oud, and it comes off somewhat medicinal, especially in the beginning. But as it dries down, it becomes smoother and smoother. Some saffron comes in. The oud is still always present, top to end, from beginning to end in the real deal. Whilst in the clone, saffron is the note that you get the most prominent amount, and you'll smell it from beginning to end. But the oud comes in lightly in the beginning, and then it becomes more rich with the help of incense and a bit of patchouli in the end. But the saffron keeps it more tamed and sweet. My final verdict: which one would I recommend? Honestly, because of what the clone can achieve, I do not think it is logical for someone who doesn't really have or want to spend $400+ on Initio's Oud for Greatness to purchase it. Because this clone does a pretty good job. In the air, no one will be able to tell the difference. And if you like a sweeter scent, if you like a oud that's sweeter, that's easier to handle, that's not super abrasive, super medicinal smelling, then the clone will be perfect for you. You get the same type of DNA. It does the same job. Might not be as potent and strong, but at the same time, for the price you're paying of like $35-$40, I don't think you can complain. This definitely does 8 to 12 hours at least, and you can even be pushing more. If you want more, spray more. I think it does an amazing job at what it's made to do. Great clone. The original is if you are more of a fragrance snob and you can tell the difference in the syntheticness of a fragrance. Like, you can tell that the clone has some synthetic aspects to it, but it's not a deal breaker. The syntheticness comes more in the beginning, whilst in the original, right away you get hit with some oud patchouli. Right away. You get no lavender really inside of this, and the saffron develops later on. It's more of an artistic olfactory experience. And I thought it was going to be linear, but it deceived me. It really did deceive me. Whilst the clone also is not that linear, but it's not as artistic. You can basically tell that the saffron lavender beginning will dry down and have more oud and patchouli, and then it becomes just close enough to the real deal. So if you want to buy the original, you must really like oud. It's in the name, and it really does justice to the oud. It's not really sweet. It's not that easy to wear, in my opinion, especially because of the beginning. Until it dries down, then yes. I don't think it's a beginner-friendly oud, in my personal opinion. I think it is pretty advanced, but it's a more wearable oud compared to other ouds that are more pungent, medicinal, and animalic. This has a decent balance between the animalicness and the sweetness, but you must like also patchouli and earthiness, because it's very green a bit because of the patchouli, especially in the top. And then when it dries down, you get more smokiness and really woodiness from the oud. And when the saffron comes in more in the mid and dry down, that's when the oud's pungent fieriness dissipates more, and it's just more woodiness and a bit of patchouli there just to bring a bit of oriental spiciness to it. It shows that it's way classier and it's more expensive, in terms of the difference in quality of smells between the real one and the clone. But because of how well the clone is able to replicate the scent and even the transition of notes, I do not think it is logical to spend $400 when this right here does a pretty good job. There might be better clones of Oud for Greatness out there, but I honestly prefer the smell of the clone in comparison to the real deal, just because of that added sweetness that makes it more tamed, more fun, more playful, youthful, and just more delicious. Oud for Greatness is a great fragrance, don't get me wrong, but because of the way it smelled and the whole transition, I don't think it's worth the price, because this can do the same for less, and it's sweeter. And most people like sweeter fragrances, and I think women will like the smell of this on you more than the original, because they will actually get to smell that sweetness from the beginning. While the original, it will take time, and it's more mature smelling, more grown up a little bit. This is more youthful smelling a bit, but it does the job. It's pretty much a decent clone of it, not exactly 100% the same, especially because it doesn't have the same amount of patchouli and at the same places. But when it dries down, that's when it really becomes similar. And I think it's not supposed to be 100% the same. It's kind of like a better take on it, even though it's basically the same. I'm saying it's a better take because it added the perfect amount of sweetness to make it, more exquisite for the price. But I have to say that regardless of which one you choose, you will get a great fragrance. But price, value, this is better. Quality of scent, obviously, doesn't compare to the original. Original wins. Smell, I kind of like this one better because of more sweetness, but it's the same DNA. You will not be disappointed by getting this instead of the real one. This can you can get like 5 or 10 of these for the price of the original, and I don't think you will actually be sad at all to get this over the original. So get this over the original. Don't waste your money. Let's be honest here. It's not worth that much more in comparison to this. That comes pretty close. The only difference is 20%, and that's because of quality ingredients and also the amounts that are added. So I think it's a no-brainer for you to go for the clone instead of the original, especially if you enjoy sweeter fragrances and you are not that used to wearing oud. So that's it for this video. Press a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos like these, comparison, reviews, discussions. All of it can be found on my channel. Check out the other videos. And yeah, have a great day, night, and evening. Peace.